And it's like, oh my gosh. And then the thing is, it's suited just for you. Whatever you watch, that's what it knows. The algorithm is suited just for Lisa. It's like a fingerprint. Your TikTok is going to be totally different than mine. Yours is going to be totally different. It's a whole like, oh my gosh, it's incredible. Welcome into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. I know I have had, let's see, how many days have I not been here? It's been a plenty because, in August I take a break. So I am back in the Urban Suite. And tonight I have to say, out of all of these shows I have done, this one right here tonight to me is one of the most nearest and dearest shows to my heart because it is talking about my family. It is talking about my lineage. It is talking about me as a dove. And I'm not talking about the bird flying. I'm talking about my family, rooted, grounded in Montgomery County, Maryland. So tonight we have special guests. We have various generations from the Dove family, William Dove, who's going to share a lot about who we are, how we got started, roots and legacy. So we have 3 generations of Dove descendants. We have come together to reflect on their rich heritage and the importance of family unity, spanning decades and distances. The Dove family discusses how they've maintained strong bonds despite being spread across the country. This heartfelt conversation centers around the preservation of Black history and legacy in America, rooted in the story of William Dove, a formerly enslaved man and pioneering landowner whose impact continues to resonate today. Join us as we explore family lineage, resilience, and the enduring power of connection. We have our 3rd generation. We have our 4th generation, and we have our 5th generation. So, starting with the Grand Dame, our elder,
yes,
we have Mrs. Phyllis Dove Waters.
Yes.
Our 3rd generation, yes. And then we have our 4th generation, Mr. Eric Smith. And then we have our 5th generation, Letitia Gasaway Paul. Welcome, my family, into the
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having us this evening.
Oh, man, thank you for coming into the Urban Suite. Let me tell you, this is so important and near and dear to my heart, what everyone is doing right now in terms of highlighting who we are as doves. So, Letitia, I know that you are really involved in who the Dove name is, the legacy. Give us a brief historical backdrop about William Dove and what he did and why it's so significant.
Yes. All right. Well, you know what, Lisa? I'm going to tell you this tonight because I stand on what is true. And that is what my mission is this evening, standing on what is true. My great-great-grandfather, William Dove, first former slave to purchase land in Montgomery County, 36 acres of land for $210. He purchased that land at an auction. The only reason he was able to buy that land is because no other white person wanted it. They didn't think it was worth anything. He purchased that land because being the first former slave, he understood the importance of it. Okay. It was too wet and too hilly. No other white person wanted that land. Formerly now in Scotland, Snakeston, also known as the coming up Potomac from Montrose Road to Democracy Boulevard. We had 500 acres of land.
Mm.
The Sims came along. The Masons came along. The Coopers came along. Almost 500 acres of land. And now we have less than 10 acres of land left. That's
Mm.
the problem. So that's why I said we are standing on what is true. And the only way we can be prosperous and know our future is to know our past.
Yes.
And that's why we're here this evening. This is what I am trying to make sure that our people, that the Doves understand the legacy that we have. And there's so many wrongs that we need to make right. Unless we know what's wrong, we can't make it right. Does that make
Mm.
sense? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm
Absolutely.
here this evening. William Dove, legacy. He had so many children, and it's important for us to know our roots.
And
Miss,
then when you say children, we have
yes,
Phyllis Waters. Phyllis Waters, tell us where you fit into the William Dove, this whole the generation.
Well, you know, Pop's family, it was 17 of them. They
mhm,
always said 16, but they never counted Ella Hill. That was one of William Dove's
So
daughters. Right.
So
So,
William Dove had 17 children.
yeah, I mean, and Ella, we always talk about the ones that we knew Aunt Ella. I've known Aunt Ella all of my life, you know, when she was living. But I'm Phyllis Dove, and my father was Leroy Dove, and everybody called him Roy. Of course, we all called him Pop, but he was, and I don't know where he falls in. I don't know which number of children.
He's like number 13, or he's
Uh,
he's one of the younger ones.
Yeah, and I think because and I've known all of my father's brothers, and when I met Uncle Clarence, and he had moved to California with the white family he was working with, so I met him when he came back here, but I didn't know him as a child.
Mm.
But I lived in Scotland. You know where the church is? I lived on the other side of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I live like when you come off of Falls Road, because Scotland used to be Falls Road to Bradley Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they moved the people, you know, put the townhouses and things over there, you know, then they named it Potomac. But I lived in Scotland until I was almost 13.
Okay, so you really saw and can see where it was
Yeah,
to how it is today.
yeah.
Interesting. And then Eric, where are you on the line?
Where am I on the line? My grandmother, Pauline Leverage,
Mhm.
she was cousins to a Dove, to Milford Dove.
Mm.
So I'm on my mother's side is how I'm related to the Doves. And I grew up back in the 60s when we didn't have running water.
Mhm.
So, and I was looking around this room and I can see some of the houses that we lived in. It's just amazing of where we were and where we've come.
Wow, interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
And I am a Dove because, you know, in all transparency, Aunt Phyllis is my aunt, and my mom and Aunt Phyllis are sisters, and my granddad is who she talked about, which is her dad, Leroy or Roy Dove, and that's how I am a Dove. And I think this is very important. I get so emotional when I talk
That's
about
right.
this because
That's right.
Yeah.
in their line there were 11. Now
Mhm.
there's only 3.
Yeah.
It's only 3 Doves left of that line, of Roy Dove's line.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is why it's so important for this connectedness to happen. And, you know, Tish, you have been taking like the lead for this over a very long time. What made you take the lead to have the Dove name out there so people will know?
Yeah. So it's everything that we're saying here this evening, and I'm listening to. I'm going to say Aunt Phyllis. You call her.
Right?
I'm going to call her Aunt Phyllis too. And just listening to how she said she lived on the back end of the side of the church. And this year we celebrated 100 years of the building of the church. And I don't know, Lisa, if you know that your grandfather, Leroy Dove, and my great grandfather, well, my great grandfather, James Peter Dove, they helped build that church by hand in 1924.
Yes, they did.
So this year, we are celebrating 100 years of the building. That is significant in itself. The church was established in 1905. In 1915, it became a part of the Ami Zion. But to know, see, here's the thing about history. We often don't pay that much attention to it when you really can't see it, right? As you're riding up Seven Locks Road and you know that that building that is there now is there because of the hands of our elders, giving God all the glory. There's not too much that we need to say. All you got to do is look and you understand the significance of the Dove legacy. All you got to do is lay eyes on it and you'll feel it. And that's why I say I stand for what matters, because it's time. And if we don't stand up and say, what is ours, what is right, and don't let someone else come and tell you your history. You need to know exactly what it is. And that's why I keep going back and forth over and over on this happened. The first former slave to purchase, his name, William Dove, that's legacy. And without risk, there's no reward. Can you imagine? Even in the 60s, on Phyllis, Save Our Scotland. In the 50s and 60s, like Eric just said, there was no water.
Was no running water. No, and Agnes had running water in her house.
She had running water. In Scotland, the land that we're on did not have that.
And because they had a well, you know, my grandfather had running. I mean, he had water. He had a pump, you know, so they had access to the water.
Yeah,
but we lived in Scotland, and we didn't have a running water. And the thing about living in Scotland at that time. Like I said, I was there from the time I was born, and I went to the church there from the time I was born until we left. You know, because my mother, Tish, we had some really talk. Because you know, I'm kin to you. You're kin to me on both sides. You know that.
That's why we're excellent. That's
on both sides.
Since Aunt Phyllis, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, we're kin on both sides, and because cousin Virgin, who would be your grandmother, and my mother used to do all the things in the church, like, you know, when they had communion Sunday, they would do white things, press the white things, and fix up the church and whatever. But you're right. And see, when I lived in Scotland, they put that dog driveway behind the church.
That's right.
The driveway was in front of the church. I could walk right down to the church because it wasn't very far. I mean,
that's right.
In a couple of minutes, I could be at the church. But they put that road right behind the church.
That's exactly what it was.
And Uncle Bub lived in the family. They owned their own land at the time. And we really have to be very proud of them because they were funny. They had a lot of humor. They were hard-working people. They persevered. They did what they had to do. And when you lived there, you didn't know that you were poor, as some people say poor. I listened to people say poor, they're poor, they're poor. We had a beautiful home. I'll never forget, my mother did the kitchen. It was pink and black. She put a pink tile around the wall.
Like Betsy Johnson. I'm like, oh, she was very innovative.
My mother and father lived in grandfather's house. You know, the house that's over there. I don't know. I guess they tore it down. You know, the big house that was over there behind where Uncle Bub used to live. I don't know if you remember that. Uncle Bub used to live right there off of 7 Fox Road. Wow. And right behind him was the tall house back there. And that was Grandfather William and Grandmother Mary's house. So they lived there until they built their own house.
So, Aunt Phyllis, how do you feel connected to the ancestors? And Eric, how do you feel connected, especially seeing those pictures behind you? What? Tell me about that.
Well, it's just through the stories I've heard over the years, and plus my upbringing. Because, like, I just remember pumping water out of the pump house, going down to the spring, getting water and bringing it up. And you know, back then, and I've said this before, we were poor and didn't know it. And didn't want for nothing, though. Didn't want for anything. We had so much fun And it must have been like 6 or 7 houses in Scotland at the time when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I know one family raised pigs, the other one raised guinea hens, and we had fruit off the land. We could eat the fruit. Um, and I swear, just looking at these pictures really bring back a lot of memories.
Wow.
We played in the dark and outside. We didn't have any lights out, no street lights.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a great time upbringing, and we had love and family, and that's all we needed.
That's it.
So what traditions or values have you passed down as a result of growing up in that community? Anyone?
Well, you never forget where you live, and that's what the value is, you know.
Right.
I know we would go back to Scotland. We moved out in 55. We would go back to Scotland because Pop, you know, and I used to run all over Scotland. I've been in everybody's house.
Yeah.
My aunts, you know, and my father loved wrestling, and Aunt Agnes was the first person in Scotland to get a TV, and we were the second ones. So when they would have wrestling, we would walk down the road to Aunt Agnes' house to watch wrestling on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
You remember
Eric,
you know?
You must have missed out on the wrestling. What do you say?
Yeah, you know, and we would watch them because I'm gonna tell you, Scotland was very close knitted. Everybody knew anybody. You did something down the road, they would whip your butt, and when you got back up, you would get another whip.
That's correct.
That's how it was. You know?
That's correct.
So why is it so important for you to Tish talk about this?
Because if we don't, then Scotland may not survive. So at one time, there were 80 historical Black communities in Montgomery County.
That's
and right now, I believe there is less than 10 left. So if we move out of Scotland, if all the Doves move out of Scotland, then Scotland is no longer Dove, is no longer surviving. And that's the importance of the legacy. So even with my children, they're like, why can't we move in a single family home? Because we can live anywhere in Montgomery County, but I'm living in Scotland and I'm never leaving. This is where I meant to be. And I want to make sure that our legacy is told and we celebrate our accomplishments as well as continue to fight for the things that are right and make those injustices and correct them.
So for those that are joining us, we're talking about Montgomery County, Maryland, Scotland, Maryland, what we call now Potomac. And this is really interesting because you just said something. You said it started out, there were how many Black communities?
80.
80, and now there are less than how many?
There's less than 10.
Now, why do you think that is? Is it that we don't care, we forget? Why is that?
No, I don't think that it's that at all. I think that a lot of times that people don't know the history and the legacy and what will happen if you move away and you don't anticipate. And yes, we all want betterment, but I don't always think that we know the value. And I'm going to tell you why, Lisa, because I moved away from Scotland too. I didn't start getting an understanding. I currently live in the house that I grew up in, which my grandparents, Melvin Crawford, he was a part of Save Our Scotland. I had no idea what him and others had to fight for to get housing in Scotland. In the 50s and 60s, homes started popping up all around Scotland. And electricity and water was given to those homes, but not Scotland. They wanted to force us off our land, eminent domain. It was take it or leave it literally. And that's the importance of that. So that's why I don't necessarily know if we understand that what we have is something different. What we have is something valuable, and it's worth staying and fighting for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have some comments on the side. These are family members. We have Dion Dove. He's chimed in. I love learning about our family. And this is why we're here. Yes. And it's so important to pass this information down because growing up, I knew about Scotland, but I did not know about William Dove and the contributions. I just thought it was a place that my mom grew up in, my aunt grew up in, but I didn't know about ownership, which is totally different than just planted there and being a renter. We're talking about the importance of a Black man who was a slave who became free, spent his money
That's right.
to purchase
Right.
hundreds of acres of land.
That's it.
Do you know what that will do to a person mentally
Yeah.
if they understood that and how they will walk in their confidence?
Yes.
I mean, I have to say, after I found that out, my confidence level about who I am, where I came from, totally changed.
Correct.
Totally.
Correct. There's no need to pull up to the table. It's your table. And that's exactly what they're saying. There's no need for you to come have a seat at the table. It's your table. And others are welcome to join you at your table. That's what William Dale does.
That's right.
That's right.
See, that's why we started doing the ancestry, because we've been doing that now for, I guess, for about 20 years. I wanted Tim and George to know, those are my two kids, you know, where I came from, what it was like, you know, where we live, what we went through, you know, and we had no restrictions. I mean, after all, we know that the people in Scotland, everybody in Scotland knew each other. It was just like a real family. You could go to anybody's house and they would know you,
Yeah.
you know, and then when they started to moving in, you know, and I think the first thing I remember about the changes first coming to Scotland, when they put that Inverness place down there off of Seven Oaks Road.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
When they put that place down there, we knew change was about to come.
Correct.
And that's
Because
what
that
Kim says. The descendants, they were pushed off the land and the land was taken.
Correct.
You remember before that, back in the day, we didn't have to lock our doors. We never locked. We didn't even know what
never
lock
locked the doors, and we always just like the places that Tish was talking about. We used to go to those places in the summertime because you know we had our own little summer school. The school we used that no longer there, obviously, but that school we had summer school there. You know, and when we had summer school, we did sports. So we used to go from one, like we went to Kensington, you know, we went to all these different places and we competed with the other schools.
That's right.
During the summertime. But you never forget, we had to go to the spring and get water, but our spring was closer to our house, you know.
Yeah.
And my father, he was a builder. I mean, he was a cement finisher, but he built things, you know. He could build brick, take things and build them brick. Everybody did their own thing. And that's why I say when you talk about your history, you think about they didn't have all the tools and access that they had. They made their own tools and they did things with their own land. Those white people didn't want Scotland because it was called Snake's Den, and everybody, it was terrible. The land and everything, they thought that it was juicy.
That's right.
Wow. And then this is what Kimberly says. The Doves donated land to Cabin John Park to park and planning. See, I didn't even know that. I had no idea.
Yeah, Uncle Bub and Pop, they still had a piece of land, and they didn't donate it, they sold it to park and planning.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are the challenges that we know the challenges that happened in the past in terms of them, you know, people taking the land, but what challenges do you see today that you're confronted with?
So the challenges that in Scotland we have today now, there are 100 homes in Scotland, 75 rental and 25 HOA home-owned homes. Now the 25 homes, the Doves gave land so that the 75 homes could be built. Scotland is one way in, one way out. We're Scotland. Like Aunt Phyllis just said, you went from house to house. We were Scotland. Those 75 homes were originally built so that it could be rent to own. So the plan was for the families that lived there to eventually own their homes, but it didn't quite work out that way. So now we're faced with, when you come inside of Scotland, you see that there are boundaries because we are segregated. It's called residential segregation. 100 homes should look alike, but that's not what it looks like today in Scotland. So the fight that we are facing is to have the 25 homes look just like the 75 homes, nothing more, nothing less. And the county has been very involved with that. They recognize that this is a wrong that need to be corrected. and they're on top of it, and we've been engaging. But my number one job right now is to make sure that this is taken care of. And I always say in 2024, we still should not be fixing things that you know is wrong from the first place. We can fix the things that happened in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, but if you know that it's happening wrong, where's the person to step up and say something right now? We should not still have to fight battles today that you know is wrong. If you put these people in a position, then they should be accountable for all, not just accountable for some. And these homes were redone in 2018 and 2019 to 75, which is great. But you're not going to just look at those homes down here and think that they're going to be forgotten about, because this is Scotland. And we were here. Again, this is our table. We invited others to have a seat. We are going to make sure that we get those 25 homes fixed.
Now, how are you bringing in the younger? Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to ask, are they going to, what do they think about giving these people that are renting a chance to buy the homes? So or they just keep it as a rent?
No, well, the homes that are the 25 right now, that's the first priority. We're doing things in stages. The conversation, Cousin Eric, is that we are trying to find areas so that we can build homes for doves to come back home. That is in the conversation. But right now, the main focus is to, one, get the park redone up at the park. We are trying to get a new playground area. And we're talking about that with park and planning. And we're also talking about getting our homes a new roof, a new outside, the exterior. We want those nice things as well. You're not going to just leave us like this.
Right. Yeah,
now, here's a question from Paula. She wants to know, why is it called Snake's Den?
There was a lot of snakes down there.
There was a lot of snakes down there. That's why.
Snakes. So Scotland is called Snake's Den. It's also called swampland. When we say it was too hilly and too wet, no, white people did not want this land. That's why Granddaddy was able to buy it for $210 when he did, because it's wet, it's like we're on water.
And it was expensive. And then, what did you find when you go to swamp? You find nothing but snakes.
That's why it's called swampland.
Those big rocks up there. But nobody told me. I didn't know there was snakes then. I mean, they said it was all over the place.
Yeah, and there's still snakes still today. Lisa, if you come here, you're going to see a snake. It's snakes.
Plenty of black snakes from all over.
That's Scotland.
But the whole time I played it there in those rocks, I never saw a snake.
Michelle said, I'd love to even be a renter. I'll definitely want and need to come back home.
Yes.
Come on home. Come on home.
Funny,
but when they took that property and built those houses, those townhouses across the street, because like I said, Scotland used to be, the doves were from Farm Road all the way down to Bradley Boulevard.
Yeah.
All had their own home. The last house down there was Uncle Hagen's, and his house was down there closer to the boulevard. And then when they came in, and that was all Scotland.
That's it.
That was all Scotland.
The nursing home down on the corner is
the road that goes right back in there. Now they call that Scotland. Is that Scotland Drive or Scotland? That's what they call Scotland.
That's it.
Well, this is interesting.
They just push you out.
I went to a conference and I saw the dove name of an attendee, and I was like, I think she may be related. I'm serious. I'm like, I think she may be related because she looked like a dove, the cheekbones, face. And so come to find out, she's my cousin, our cousin. I could not believe it. It's amazing. There are so many doves out there. And every time I meet a dove, I wonder if they are related to us, because there's so many of us, but the name isn't like Williams. The name isn't like Smith. So it's unique enough to know, wait a minute, you may be a relative of mine.
Well,
and then speaking, go ahead, Eric, what did you say?
You got Smiths in there too.
Oh, right. A lot of Smith, right. So speaking
the doves look alike. They look alike.
Yes.
Anywhere.
They
and
do.
They say, I know
the eyes, the cheekbones.
The cheekbones. But we all look alike.
Yes.
We all look alike. I don't care where you go, you'll find somebody. And then I was working at George Washington. This guy came up to me, and I had gone into my office, and he kept looking at me, and he said, I know you. I know you. And I said, no, you don't. Because he looked at me and then he said, you a dove, aren't you? You a dove.
Yep.
It's something about our face that people know you when you see.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you have something, or
So
we have
just tell
something.
me this. Now, when you
Oh, go ahead.
what happened to the radon? The stuff in the house, are they working on that?
Yes, they are. That's part of the 25 and the redoing of the 25. Yes, ma'am.
So Aunt Phyllis just asked about rayon. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you all heard, but yes. So
Yes.
uh-huh.
That was around, like we said, in the 60s when we had the homes redone. There was so much stuff, mildew, mold, that even when they were building the homes, they just threw these homes up. Now,
They did.
the 25 homes, Lisa, the 25 homes were originally supposed to be built at the beginning of Scotland. They put the 25 homeowners in the back of Scotland because they said that we were going to be a bankrupt and we weren't going to last anyway. Well, guess what? We're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here and we're still
They didn't
Scotland.
construct them like they should have.
Exactly. And so that's why I say the importance of, like Michelle Dove just said, come back home. Come back home and make sure that what we have is surviving and thriving. And that's part of making sure that we maintain our legacy and who we are as William Dove. And we know, you might know James Dove, you might know Agnes, you might know Leroy, but we are a William Dove.
Yes.
That's what we need to understand.
It's a very
And we have a reunion coming up in a couple of months. Talk about the reunion and why it's important and what's happening, the activities, and how people can get plugged into this family reunion.
So the family reunion, it is a 3-day event. All days are equally important. Meet and greet is on a Friday night. It's November 1st. We are going to Dave and Buster's, which is in Gaithersburg at the Rio. And then we are on Saturday, we're going to have the Doves barbecue at the community, right here in the Scotland community. And that's all day long. That's from 12 to 8. We're going to have a whole lot of games. We have the barbecue show that's going on there. We have the fire show that's going on. And we're also going to have a live go-go band right here on Scotland Drive. And that's on April 2nd. A live come on, Aunt Phyllis. Come on, show them what's going on. Down on November 2nd.
So tell me, so where are you going to be?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on for a second, Aunt Phyllis. She has to finish because we have another day. We have another day.
One more day. We have one more day. And then we have November 3rd. And Lisa's right. We have November 3rd. And that is our family Odyssey cruise. It is our breakfast prayer cruise. And everything is free. There's no reason to why someone can't come to something. Go on Eventbrite, Dove Family, sign up, please. Everyone is expected to be in attendance. If you are a Dove descendant, we have a Facebook page. You know how to reach Lisa, Tony, myself, Eric, Aunt Phyllis. We're all here. We're all saying, please come back home and join us. We are all one for William Dove. And if not now, then when? Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Aunt Phyllis, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, because Tish, where are they going to park the cars? Because, when they started coming up, we'd be all up and down the street.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So just like on Juneteenth, there's going to be parking at the elementary schools, and we're going to have shuttle buses going to and from Aunt Phyllis, bring you back and forth to Scotland. Okay? Because we plan on having a funky good time on November 2nd here in Scotland Drive. We are going to stand on the land that our great-great-grandfather left for us, William Dove. Snakes Den, Swamp Land, Scotland.
It's all up that street.
That's it. It's all up, all through the community. We're going to celebrate on that day. Yes, and understand.
Don't even begin to talk about the food now, because we.
That's it. Come on, cousin Eric.
Before Betty Crocker, there was Ma Florence.
Yes.
Yes. Best cake before Betty Crocker, Duncan Hines, any of them.
Well, I am looking forward to it. I have really talked about this with my husband and our children, the importance of this, and they're very excited because they had no idea, and there was a part of me that felt a little guilty that I didn't know, but I didn't know. Like I had no idea. So I am definitely looking forward to the Dove Family and Friends Reunion,
Mhm.
November the 1st through November the 3rd. You can look on Facebook, and unfortunately, I don't have the ticker right here, but you can look on Facebook, and I believe it's Dove Family and Friends on Facebook to get all the information. You can secure tickets for every single thing. The November the 1st, which is you can just go to Dave and Buster's. And Tish, where is that again?
That's at the Rio in Gaithersburg.
Okay, the Rio in Gaithersburg,
Yes.
Maryland. And then day number 2, Tish,
Mhm.
say that again.
That is the Dove Barbecue right here on Scotland Drive. Come and join us November 2nd, 12 to
November
8 p.m. Yes.
And then November 3rd,
That's
Tish.
right. It's the Odyssey Prayer Cruise, November 3rd, and we have parking for that too. There's going to be shuttle services at free of charge at Bellsmere Elementary. That's taking us right on down to Odyssey on Pier 4 in Washington, D.C. Come on and join us.
Yes, and then we have hotel accommodations, correct?
We do, and we have a hotel accommodations, and you can find that on our website on the Facebook page as well. Cousin, let me tell you, for everything, every question that you can think of, we have an answer to, because you know how family do. But what about this? But what about that? Well, you know what? We're Dove, so we're going to figure it out.
Right, right. And like you said,
that we're going to be perfect, but we're going to try our best to get it right because we want to do right by Doves.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
But this is just going to be the beginning.
You
Yes.
better know it, Aunt Phyllis.
It's going to be the beginning.
That's it.
Because once people find out about it, then they'll start coming in.
That's
You know,
it.
they'll
Yes.
start to include it.
Yes.
Because I'm finding out on my ancestry. I get people on my ancestry. I don't know who they are, so I'm kind of excited because when I lived in Scotland, I was close to Vernon. Joan and I were good friends. Darcy, my sister, was good friends. You know, we all Uncle Bub's family and Pop's family. We were always really, really close. You know, but now I don't know all the younger people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you
Right.
never know. You never know who's who.
Right.
You know,
I mean, because
this is a way for the family to get to know other members of the family.
Because the reality is, say for instance, my children could be dating one of their cousins.
Yep.
I mean,
And that has happened.
I mean, hello, like
We had two of them that got married that didn't know they was cousins. Somebody.
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly why this is important.
That's it. That's it.
All right. So, any last words from you, Aunt Phyllis? Any last words as we wrap up?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, and I think that when we get there and we start letting people know just what the legacy and what the Dove family is all about.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we could never go any place without people saying those Doves, you know.
Yes.
And that's true, you know, those Doves. And at one point, people scared to come to Scotland because they said that the Doves were bad. We just took care of our own. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
I think that it's going to be a nice opportunity for people to get there and to meet people they don't know. Because, like I said, when I get hits on Ancestry, I don't know who they are. I mean, I know some people, but I don't know who they are because you know, even when you get married or somebody leaves, you don't know the name.
That's true.
You don't know who they are, you know, because they don't go by, they don't put Dove in their name. They just have, and then you try to figure out who they are, but they are relatives. Because you know, you got 17 people in a family, sisters and brothers. It's going to be a whole lot of folks.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Eric, any last words?
Yes, I know. I want to tell everybody, if you're Black and in Montgomery County, I think you can ask questions and you better get some knowledge because knowledge is power, and you need to know where you came from and where you're going, and because you don't, just like you said, you don't know if they're your cousin or not, so you better ask questions.
That's it.
You better ask questions, but a lot of people, they don't know because you see, a lot of people when they were young, they didn't discuss that.
Right.
And discuss, you don't know where you came from. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's what happened. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And Tish, any last words before we depart?
I would like to say that volunteers are needed volunteers are needed, first, second, and third. All help is welcome, and we want everyone to be a part of it. We are about inclusion. We are not dividing anyone. We don't want anyone left out. Long overdue for that. Let's time put that. We're done with that. Those days. If you're a Dove, and if you're not a Dove friends and family. This is for everyone. We want inclusion. We want everyone to be a part of it, and we're here. Please come and
the
join.
friends that you probably talking about probably our family.
They probably are family, Aunt Phyllis. They probably are.
When you got that big umbrella, you know. But I'll be flying in probably the last week of October because I'm in Tennessee.
All right.
Right. So, and then with that, we have Doves in California, Tennessee, Georgia,
all over the place.
Texas, all over. Texas.
Mitchellville.
Yeah, all over the place. Pennsylvania. I mean, New York, they're all over the place.
But they need to come home. It's time to come home.
Come home. Come home, Doves. Let's come home. Let's fly home. Let's fly. Fly on home. Right? I always thought that name was so special, Dove. It is a very special, unique name. I just want to say thank you all for entering into the Urban Suite with me and sharing this information with not only me, of course, but the entire world, and more specifically, the Doves who have been here participating with questions and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to November the 1st, November the 2nd, and November the 3rd in Maryland and in DC. All right. So I just want to say thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
But are we going to the Black Museum? Did they talk about that?
Oh, are we going?
Yes, ma'am. I think that there are some that are going there on Saturday.
On Saturday?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Yeah. Now, if you go there, you have to wear comfortable shoes or get a scooter because let me tell you, that place is huge.
Yes.
On the bottom.
And Lisa, I know you're wrapping up, but I almost forgot the T-shirts.
Okay.
Lisa,
yes.
Yeah,
all right. We do have T-shirts, right?
I don't want a T-shirt. I want a hoodie. That's what
okay, you can get a hoodie too. We have T-shirts, male, female, short sleeves, and we have the hoodies.
Yes, we do.
So yes, so we have to represent. Order your shirts because Tish, you were saying that there's an order date, a deadline for those T-shirts. What's the deadline? Do you know offhand?
I don't, but I do know that it's like 17 days away because I've been keeping a count on it. Because in order for them to ship it out at one time and for us to have them in time for the family reunion in November, they have to like 17 days away. So I know that it's coming up. So go and get your T-shirt or like Phyllis said, okay.
So if you need a T-shirt, you can go to the Facebook Dove Family Reunion Facebook page. And if you scroll, you'll see for the T-shirt, you will see the ad and you can purchase a T-shirt right then and there. Don't come there with no T-shirt now. We're giving you enough time. We're giving you all enough warning. Get your T-shirt, get your hoodie. It's a beautiful black. And then it has the gold dove with the tree.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. We should be very proud. Let me tell you, talking about privilege, this is privilege right here.
Yes, it is.
This put some pep in my step when I found out my lineage. I'm serious. I was walking with a new set of assurances. I had my head up high. I said, oh my gosh, I am really from greatness.
That's it.
But that's when people ask me, well, how do you feel? Well, what do you feel? Well, what do you like about where you came from? Well, that's all in you, know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was so ready to go. Even,
that's right.
But it's right here.
Yes.
Tell me about where I came from,
Right. That's right. So, all right, you guys.
Thank you, Lisa.
I would say thank you all for entering the Urban Suite.
Yep.
Have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will see you all soon.
Thank you for shining light.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys. See you later.
Listen, that was fantastic. Fantastic. Get plugged in. It's about family. It's about legacy. It's about telling the next generation and the next generation and the next generation who we are and whose we are. Hopefully, I will see you all November the 1st, November the 2nd, and November the 3rd in Montgomery County, Maryland, because we are doves. It's time to come home. Thank God for you all. I pray for you all. And remember, each and every day, as we get older, so do our ancestors. And again, a lot of them are passing each month. There's somebody dying or whatever. We have to do this. This is a wake-up call for the doves. And on that note, God bless. Thank you. And Molly, take us away. Oh, oh my gosh. Listen, you have entered into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa Lacan. So I have natural hair. If I had more hair, I would pull it, but I don't have that much hair to pull. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. People are like, oh my gosh. So and stare. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Something about Elisa. There's something about Elisa.
He said, Lisa.
Oh, Lisa.
Lisa, remember you were talking about pivoting. I love that. Like, oh, dun, 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 dun. Yes. All right. So you are back with me in the Urban Suite.
Hello, Urbanites. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, I love that blue. Look at that. And you know what? This is our second year. Oh my gosh. So was it 2 years ago? No, last year? I can't remember.
What you mean?
What you mean? What? Are you serious? Anyway, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for the month of May, I try to have all mental health topics. Our life is consumed with fear. What are delusions? And the week before that, I talked about hallucinations, because oftentimes in the urban community, we have a tendency to kind of mix up those two, between hallucinations and delusions. A hallucination, see how I did it? So between hallucinations and what are hallucinations and delusions, and people kind of put them together to make it sound like illusions.
Illusions.
But there's no such thing as a illusion.
Illusions.
It's a hallucination or delusion. It's all in your mind. And we are going to dig in and dive into thoughts versus feelings.
We all got feelings. I don't care how tough you're supposed to be.
I don't say anything I feel. I don't share anything with the internet.
Huddle up, team. Feelings on 3. 1, 2, 3. Feelings!
And a lot of people don't know what that is.
I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Like, do you know what emotions are?
What we're gonna do is learn to hide our emotions with math problems.
You asking me? You asking me?
I'm asking you.
Who, me?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I do. I know what emotions are.
Your feelings are not only forgivable, they are the very meaning of life that only pre-silicon carbon-based entities can ever grasp.
Oh, what? Are you serious? Now, for the most part, some people may feel a little uncomfortable about the graphics, about what we're going to discuss, because we're going to talk about our colon.
Ew. Respectfully.
And basically, some of the things, our body parts, you know, we get a little uncomfortable with it.
This is very uncomfortable for me. I don't know what to say.
People are like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it's so nasty.
We have to talk about it because at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, forgive me, some of us may be full of shit. Holy shit.
But the caliber of the stool is like the shape that we have our slide here. You can see
Right.
kind of
Let's
the
pull
pellet
this
form.
up.
Yeah, you see kind of the pellet form.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like various extremes. So we've got an oily stool at the bottom, and then we've got the pellet form at the top.
Our bodies are going to be what they're going to be.
So you have different types. According to this image is provided by Livy, there are 7 types of stools here. So this is what I was talking about, which may be uncomfortable for some people. But the reality is we have to have these conversations.
Did you forget how to have a conversation?
And you have to look at your stool.
Wow.
Don't be afraid of it, okay?
Don't be afraid of the mess. That's the key.
So type 1, this is the one that's like constipation. Separate hard lumps like nuts, and it's hard to pass.
Hard pass.
Okay, that's when you're constipated. Type 2 is mild constipation, where it looks like a sausage shape, but it's a little lumpy. So you see that one?
Well, what food have you been eating?
And then type 3, it says that it's normal. It looks like a sausage, but with cracks on the surface.
I've never had sausage.
You never had sausage?
And then type 4, it looks like a sausage. I can't read this thing. It looks like a sausage or a snake.
Watch out for those snakes now.
I'm just glad the snake was the only thing in it if you catch them a jib.
Snakes on the plane.
It looks like a sausage or a snake, and it's smooth and soft.
Because when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
And then 5, type 5 says it's lacking fiber, soft blob with clear cut edges, passed easily. And then
Can you shut the door?
type 6, mild diarrhea, fluffy pieces with ragged edges, and mushy stool.
What are you doing here?
And then type 7, watery, no solid pieces, entirely liquid. All right, you can put that down.
Put the poop down. Thank
Right.
you. Put the poop down. She said, look at it. She did not say touch it. So just remember that. Remain sanitary at all times.
That's right. Well, you know, as a mom, I used to look at my kids' diapers to see.
Ew. Respectfully.
You know, it feels uncomfortable to talk about these things, but we have to have this conversation and we have to normalize it.
It is never safe to fly during your third trimester.
That's right. So so I was out the whole time. I just remember counting 10, 9, 8.
And that was it. Bottom line, they didn't do that to you, though.
Well, I was asleep. I don't know what they did to me. I don't know what they did to me. I just know what the doctor told me he did, that he put the thing up there and took images of it. But the doctor said I had a colon of a 31-year-old. I said, thank you.
There we go. Extra bell ring. You left too much poo. You drinking Mountain Dew.
That's why you have
don't, but we're here again. We got to suck it up for the greater good.
That's right.
I don't think that was the right terminology, but okay.
So can I get a referral from you? For what? Medicinal marijuana.